In the last episode you saw, Kali overhears the priest's plans to deceive her, and the goddess is beside herself with rage. So, Kali made some plans of her own. Her plans were very simple. All she had to do was delay Shiva by just a few minutes. That's all she needed. Kali asked the sun god, Surya, to linger for a few extra minutes over Shiva's mountain home. Shiva, thinking that it was still daylight, continued calmly with his meditations. He was in no hurry. He had no idea that at the temple, darkness had already started to fall. Meanwhile, back at the temple, the priest was waiting impatiently. The wedding feast had been laid out in the courtyard. His young daughter, having decked herself with flowers and jewelry, had started to dance. She had been told that she must impress Shiva with her art, and she was determined to do her best. Just beyond the temple, in the dark waters, Kali was waiting. So the young girl had started to dance. As the beat of the music became faster and faster, the rhythm of the girl's stamping feet somehow seemed to hypnotize everyone. No one even knew when it happened. No one even saw the tide coming in. Before anyone could rush forward, the tide had swept in, gathered up the young girl off her feet, and dragged her away into its dark depths, swallowing her up. And having swallowed her up, then the dark waters had returned, and the grey pillars had looked on in stony silence as Kali had now turned her anger onto the priest and the musicians and everyone else. Theirs was not going to be a simple death. The waves came in like giant whirlpools, gathering up the men, sucking them down into the waters till they almost drowned, almost. And then just when the men thought that they were breathing their last, the waters would recede, leaving the men on the stone courtyard, thinking that there was hope of escape. And then just as their hopes went up, the waves would come back for them, pulling them back down again, almost drowning them, but just receding, just in time, so that it seemed that once again there was a way out. And again, and again, and again, the waters came and went, till finally the men were broken and exhausted and begging for death. And then, and only then, did Kali pull them down, screaming, torn limb from limb, into the sea. But the goddess still wasn't finished. She had one more task. One last time, the water swept back into the courtyard to wash away all signs of the wedding. The feast, the garlands, the decorations, everything. And once that was done, the waters finally receded back into the silence of the ocean, leaving behind a scene that looked utterly peaceful. An empty temple, untouched it seemed by human hand. And it was onto this scene that Shiva arrived. He came, he looked around, but seeing that there was nobody there, he thought perhaps there was a change of plan. And so he too left them all. Till today, when the wind blows through those corridors, when it wails through those corridors, the local people say that it is the sound of eternal suffering, of souls under a never-ending curse, trapped in the dark waters around the temple, there for all time and beyond.